That's me, I'm live. All right, let me flip the camera. And now where do I put this thing? I need to try, I'll just put it right here, I guess. Maybe over here. Voila. All right, there you go. Thank you, Panther. Good idea. Good idea. Now I'm live in both directions, here and here. Wow, that's cool. I'm like in two places at once. It's like practicing by location. I'm live on TikTok and live on YouTube, but there's 0 viewers on YouTube right now. But I just start right now. I just started, so we'll see if it goes more live. Let me turn some more light on. Now that I'm live, more live, I need more light. I don't know where to look now. Maybe I can move my tablet closer to the screen so that I can be looking in the same direction somewhat. There we go. Now I'm generally looking in the same direction a little bit there. Yeah, so TikTok being taken down, I don't know if it was because we were moving servers or because they were trying to cool the emotional climate of our country, because people were getting very emotional about Alex Pretty. I couldn't believe it. Like, it seems pretty cut and dry to me, but like on my YouTube channel, I do follow a lot of conservative channels on my YouTube. I've had that channel for many, many years, and I used to follow those conservative podcasters. So today when I was playing with my channel on YouTube, I actually went back and I listened to some of those, what was his name, Timcast, Liz Wheeler, and I couldn't believe it that I don't know, I guess we have these little propaganda bubbles, but they were still saying that the ICU nurse was attacking the ICE agents and that, he shouldn't have attacked the agents. And I'm like, okay, he was actually protecting a woman from being shoved to the ground. But everyone's spinning it. Well, those talking heads are spinning it. And very divisive, very divisive. That's good. You're independent. Good. I'm sort of independent, but I take things personally because I'm Mexican American and I have to take my birth certificate with me when I go driving now in case I get pulled over or something. So I've never had to take my birth certificate with me when I leave the house, and I do now. So I'm an American citizen born in Los Angeles, but I still have to take my birth certificate with me. So it's not just politics to me, it is personal. And I don't like living in a country that I have to take my documentation with me when I leave the door, even though I'm American. And I know people can feel like, what's the big deal, but I want you to imagine, like, if you're not Hispanic and you're not Latino or you're not indigenous, how you'd feel if you have to take your birth certificate with you if someone asks you for your papers. Because those are stories that I heard in school about what they did in Germany, and they're like, oh, thank God we're not like Germany. Can you imagine living in a place where they ask you for your papers? And then, like, well, here we are, right? And I'm also a nurse, and that ICU nurse. I love ICU nurses. I wanted to be an ICU nurse, but the disease that we shall not name hit the United States, and I couldn't do my ICU internship because Baylor Scott and White and Waxahachie was treating people with the disease that cannot be named, and so I had to do my last semester online. But I did go right to work during that time period of the disease that shall not be named. I was working on a med-surg floor in Waco at Ascension Providence on a designated unit for people, not ICU, not emergency, the hospital unit for the people that were admitted for that disease that shall not be named. And so I have a lot of sympathy for ICU nurses. I know they're very intelligent, they're smart. He was a VA nurse. He took care of veterans, If you haven't seen the video clip of him doing the memorial for that veteran about, that freedom is not free, to remember the people who sacrificed their life for freedom, I bet he didn't know that 2 years later he would be, his life would be taken by his own government. If you haven't seen that video of him doing the memorial for the veteran at the hospital, you're half American Indian. Well, I'm only 25%. uh, American Indian, I guess. If that's what we call it, because the word American is European, they didn't call it America. Um, but yes, 75% of my blood comes from this continent. And I think it's unfair to say that, like, if you're born in the U.S., you're Native American, but if you're from south of the border, you're Latino or Hispanic. I'm starting to understand that most Hispanics and Latinos are actually indigenous. So if people were colonized north of the border by the English speakers, they were called Native Americans. If they were colonized by Spain and Portugal south of the border, they were called Latino and Hispanic. And yeah, a lot of our culture was stripped from us. We lost our language, our culture, our religion, our tribal identities. But when you do your DNA test, 75% of my blood is indigenous to this continent, from like the California West Coast all the way down into northern Mexico, with a little bit coming from Yucatan. But most of my life, no one's ever said, hey, you're indigenous to this continent, because I don't have tribal affiliation. But I am. 75%, the most percent of my DNA is from this continent. 75% is from, and of course, America is not this country, So it's when we say Native American, we're talking about people within the U.S. America goes from the tip of Canada all the way to the tip of Chile, down the bottom of South America. That's America. America is from the top of Canada all the way down to the tip of South America. That's America. And so anyone indigenous from the top of Canada all the way to the tip of South America is Native American. Because the real America is from the tip of Canada all the way to the tip of South America. That's America. Not the United States, not the U.S. So anyone with indigenous blood from the tip of Canada to the tip of South America is Native American. If you want to use the word American, that came from Europe, not from this continent. So, do you know what tribe it was? I don't know what tribe I'm from. I'm guessing it might be I don't know how you pronounce it. It's more like a conglomeration of tribes. The state of Coahuila is named after them, and my family is from the state of Coahuila. It says they just call them the Coahuiltecans. That's what I kind of lean towards thinking I am, is Coahuiltecan, I guess, in that area. I could be wrong, but it's just tribes of the Coahuilan tribes. Indigenous people inhabit the regions of northeastern Mexico, southern Texas, the Coahuiltecans. Although I do know that one of my great-grandparents was from the area of Chihuahua, the Talamara Indians. And the Talamaters are cool. That's part of my, I know at least one of my great-grandparents was Talamara. And they're the ones that are famous for running marathon races, right? You see the women running in their skirts and their little sandals, and they're like winning marathons around the world, but they still run in their dresses with their sandals. They don't want to wear Nikes. They don't want to wear gym clothes. They wear their traditional Indian, like their traditional native dresses with their little sandals, and they run in these like world-class marathons, and they do really well. So I know one of my ancestors was from that tribe, the Talamara Indians in near Chihuahua. So maybe that's why I'm still dancing. I'm like 50 and I still got energy, because I got the endurance. I don't know. I really don't know, but I do know that part of my ancestry comes from West Africa too, from the slave trade. That's where my last name comes from. From my most of my ancestry is pretty. My ancestry comes from a lot of people that were displaced, unjustly treated, their land taken from them. I think that's why I have a strong sense of justice, and I like to fight for the underdog, because whether they were Sephardic Jews forced to convert to Catholicism, or whether they were indigenous people whose land was taken from them, whether by Mexico or by the U.S., by broken treaties, or even Spanish or Mexican from like the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, when the U.S. promised that the Mexicans were going to keep Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Colorado, that the Mexicans who owned that were going to keep their land, but then shortly afterward, they had to prove it to the U.S. government in English documents, and a lot of that land was taken from the Mexicans, even though the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo said it was going to stay under Mexican control, under the Mexicans who owned that land. And I don't know, I think it'd be pretty cool if if my ancestors still, own the pieces of Texas, Arizona, Colorado, California, those beautiful Rocky Mountains, very beautiful lands that are no longer in the hands of, anyways, those lands were promised that, hey, if they're owned by Mexicans, they'll stay under Mexicans, but I don't know. Treaties get broken. Injustice exists. Judges don't get listened to, or judges do get listened to. Interpretations of laws change. We still have the most prisoners in the U.S. than any country in the world. So the land of the free has the most prisoners of any country on earth because we're so free here. And to try to take two truths and combine them together, two opposing truths and combine them together, that we are the land of the free and we're also the land with the most prisoners, and to try to believe both at the same time, that's called doublethink, where you hold two truths that are contradictory and you have to believe them both at the same time. It's called doublethink. They talked about it in the book 1984, Doublethink. And it's like you have to accept two opposing truths at the same time. Hey, y'all, welcome. Hey, YouTube. You're YouTube. I got TikTok over here. I got YouTube over here. Where are you listening from, if you don't mind me asking? Like, if you want to say hello. My name's Enrique. You can call me Enrique or Kike. Born in LA. I'm a hospice nurse in Texas, taking care of those at the end of life. I used to be a teacher, teaching art and photography. I have a degree in art. Took a lot of art history. That's how I learned about civilizations. Was through art history. Hey, there you go. I see your comments now. Solar flare. Hey, there you are. Today's your birthday. Nice, Angel. Happy birthday, Angel. Oklahoma bound. All right. I got some people from Oklahoma over here. Someone's birthday. Nice. Let me see if I can turn up the lighting over here. It's kind of dark. Turn up the lighting. That's my volume. There's my lighting, my volume. Okay. There we go. I can see you better now. I want to see the chat. Where's the chat? Top chat, live chat, AMS, all messages are visible. Yeah, I want to see all the messages. How you doing, Santiago? How you doing, Ruben? How you doing, Lewis, Angel? Why do these comments keep disappearing? I want them to stay on the screen. I want to see all the comments, not just some of the comments. All right, so how did Canada get its start? Breakbeats says, well, of course, there were indigenous people living there already, but it looks like, I know the French came. I know some of the story of like the tribes there. There were some saints that came out of there, like Saint Kateri, the Mohawk people, some pretty ruthless warriors out there, pretty strong people in Canada. But yeah, we're just discussing, hey Mustard, we're just discussing, just kind of open discussion actually. My name's Enrique, just talking about different things. I was talking about like Mexican heritage, that a lot of Latinos are actually indigenous, that what we call Hispanic and Latino is just Native Americans that were colonized by the Spanish and Portuguese. We call them Latino and Hispanic. If they were colonized by the English above the border, we call them Native American. But if you're Latino or Hispanic, your blood is Native American, because America goes from Canada to the tip of South America. It just, it was kind of, that heritage was taken from us through colonization. You know, you're going to not speak your language. You're going to speak Spanish instead. You're going to speak English instead. You're going to go to these schools to learn, and you're going to forget your culture. You're going to learn this new history. But somehow I magically came from Plymouth Rock. I came from the Puritans and Pilgrims. I don't think so. I didn't come from the Pilgrims and Puritans, and I didn't come from the New England 13 colonies. If I came from Europe, it was the blood that probably of people that, forced themselves upon my ancestors, but definitely from Spain, not from England. And anyways, but although, I know there's good people from England and Ireland and Italy and stuff, but this land is kind of a land of immigrants, except for the Native Americans, the indigenous, the Latinos, the Hispanics who have blood from this continent, all the way to the Inuit people, the people that are actually from this continent. I think it's important that you recognize whose blood is actually from this continent and didn't cross over a few hundred years ago on boats. It's like sometimes the people with darker skin are treated like we're the immigrants here. This is actually the land that we're from, but we're the immigrants. So I think that, we got to stop that gaslighting a little bit, like gaslighting that the people with the tan skin are from this continent. And through broken treaties to taking of land and stuff, most of those land's not ours anymore. And like I said, the land of the free has the most prisoners of any country on earth. So how do you deal with that, I learned as a kid that, I learned that my name was not right. My name is Kike. And I'm like, no, they told me you can't call yourself that. You have to go by Enrique. Because, the way I spell my name, Kike, in Spanish is K-I-K-E, which is offensive in English. It's a derogatory word, so you can't use your name. You have to be called Enrique. But then in 7th grade, my English teacher says, oh, Enrique is too hard to say. We're going to call you Rick now. So now you're Rick. Even though Rick and Enrique have nothing to do with each other. Enrique means Henry. She should have said, can I call you Henry? She's like, no, we'll call you Rick. She changed my name. And so then from 7th grade through 12th grade, I'm known as Rick because of some English teacher. But, it's like this weird stuff happens. And it's like, what? I'm learning that I am Kike. It sounds weird and it might be offensive to some people the way it's spelled. But it's just my name. It's like, why do I have to apologize for my name? Why do I need to feel like I'm an immigrant in the land of my ancestors? It's just like, this is where I'm from. This is my name. Like, why am I trying to fit the mold of these certain other cultures? Why does the Fire Nation get to invade the other nations and say that the Fire Nation culture is the dominant culture, the best culture, and that Fire Nation culture needs to spread itself over the Earth Nation and Air Nation and Water Nations because somehow they're supreme and advanced? Why is the Fire Nation, we freaking are living in a time when we need Aang and Katara and Toph and Zuko to go out and build a network of friendship because the freaking Fire Nation's trying to invade and dominate Mexico as Texas. Well, Mexico was all the way to California, Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, New Mexico. It was all Mexico. But even before Mexico, it was just indigenous. It was just a lot of tribes, wandering. Some of us were here, some of us were traveling north and south, moving all over the place, and it was just our land. Yeah, then it became Mexico, it's just. But most of my ancestors, when I look at my DNA, most of my ancestors come from people that were displaced, oppressed, sold, colonized. Maybe that's not the case with you. Think about it. Like, your ancestors, were they the colonizers? Were they the dominant? Were they the ones that said, our language is so important, you need to speak my language and you need to forget your language? Can you imagine, like, put yourself, if you come from like Europe, England, France, somewhere in Europe, and you're like, can you imagine, they're like, you need to stop speaking English and learn a different language, forget your language, and how offensive that would feel to you. But that's pretty much what happened in many nations across the earth. It's like, stop speaking your language and learn to speak English now. And freaking, we're still doing it. We just took over Venezuela, like, just because our president wanted to. He's now the U.S. owns Venezuela, I guess. I don't know. They want to go take over freaking Greenland. What the heck is that all about? I thought colonizing was over, but obviously there's some culture that thinks it has a right to dominate other cultures because somehow they're the best. I don't think it has to do with culture at all. It probably has to do with oil and money, corporations. We're being run by corporations, the United Corporations of America. We think we have 50 states, but it's actually, we have a few hundred companies, and we all work for these companies and they vote for us. And we think we get to vote, but actually we don't get to vote. I mean, we get to vote, but nobody listens to us. The corporations represent us. They go, they lobby, they give thousands of dollars to politicians. They buy our politicians, whatever the corporations want or the laws that get passed. We vote, but what we want doesn't get passed. Even if 85% of us want something to happen, it's not going to happen unless the corporations want it, because we live in a government of the billionaires, of the corporations. We don't live in a democracy. We don't have equal vote. We were told that everyone's equal, that all men are created equal. We're not living in that reality. We're living in the reality where if you're a billionaire, your voice is heard. I speak American. No, you don't, because again, America would be from the tip of Canada all the way to the tip of South America. You speak a language that came from England. You speak the language of Europe. You don't speak the language of America. You speak the language of Europe. You speak English. Because so unless you're from England, you're also colonized by England. But if your ancestors are from England, cool. That's the language of your ancestors. Thank you, Drywall and Beans. I appreciate that. I think you know the stories. You've been studying them. It's like I look at my history. My last name. I'm proud of my last name. For a long time, I was ashamed of it. My last name is Crosby, and it comes from a Civil War fighter, a guy who was a veteran of the Army, U.S. Army. He fought in the Union Army at age 13. How many of y'all can say your ancestors fought in a freaking war at age 13? U.S. Army fought in the Civil War at age 13. That's my ancestor. That's where I get my name from, Crosby. Was he a slave? Yeah, he was a slave. He ran away at age 13. He joined the Union Army. He fought battles in the South. After the Civil War, he was a cowboy here in Texas, a black cowboy working for the German farmers, and he went to Mexico. So yeah, that's where my name comes from a freaking Civil War fighter who fought at age 13. He was a cowboy, black cowboy in Texas. Went to go to Mexico, married Mexican, and most of my family from then on is kind of indigenous Mexican. But my family name comes from a Civil War fighter, a black Civil War fighter at age 13, Crosby. And I'm not ashamed of it now. I would love to live up to his footprints, to freaking fight for what's right, to fight for people's freedom at age, and not be scared to lose my life, even as a teenager, fighting in a freaking war at age as a teenager. I hope I'm that brave to do what's right and not to stand for freaking tyranny and injustice because of some tyrants who think they're better than everyone else. So yeah, so TikTok's been down. I know we got YouTube over here, we got TikTok over here. TikTok was bought by Oracle, and they're kind of pressured by the U.S. government because the U.S. didn't want China to take our data. The U.S. wants to take our data so that they can sell it and make money off of it. They don't like that China has access to it. If China's going to have access to it, they at least need to pay for it from the U.S. companies, so they get a cut of it too. But it's not about privacy. They steal our data all the time. They sell our data all the time. It's about money. It's not about privacy. Everyone wants a cut of the money. It's all about the pyramid, baby. All of us are stuck in this pyramid, the extraction pyramid game. You work for your corporation, they turn your life into money, they suction it to the top of the pyramid so some people at the top of the pyramid can get rich. It was 100 years ago that we learned that monopolies suck. We had the railroad, steel, oil monopolies that were taking over our government. The monopolies came in so strong, they pretty much paid off our politicians. They owned the democracy. And President Taft, among others, they created the antitrust laws to break apart the corporations and to tax the corporations. And that creates the whole era of the baby boomers. Because the corporations are being taxed so highly, the boomers had a lifestyle where they could live on one income, send their kids to college, retire, pay off their mortgage on one income. But then freaking Ronald Reagan comes with the Heritage Foundation, lying to us, telling us this thing called Reaganomics, trickle-down economics, that we have to deregulate the corporations, take off the restrictions so that they can become monopolies again, because once the corporations become rich and powerful, all that money is going to trickle down to the middle class. So Ronald Reagan pretty much invites the monopolies to return, and now they are back, and they're here. They're watching you, and they're watching you. They control their surveillance. They're watching us through our surveillance. They're on YouTube, TikTok, Amazon. All these corporations are back. They're buying off the system. They pay off our politicians. Our government and the monopolies are serving each other. They're taking up all the money to the top of the pyramid. The rich are getting exponentially rich. Everyone else is staying stuck. And when the middle class suffers and we're like, hey, my house is expensive, my doctor's bills are expensive, instead of looking at where all the money went with the deregulated corporations sucking it to the top, They don't want us looking at them and saying, oh, it's the brown people crossing the border. They're the ones who made life expensive. But we're like, well, wait a minute. The trillions of dollars went up to the top of the pyramid. And they're like, oh, no, it's not us. It's not us who got rich and took trillions of dollars from the public. It's those people that are building houses and working on the roads and picking fruit. They're the ones who took all the money. Oh, really? They took all the money? Whose salaries? Where did all the billionaires come from? Where did the trillionaires come from? Where did the money really go? It went to the top. But instead of us looking at them, they're like, no, don't look at us who took the trillions. Look at those poor brown people and start fighting amongst yourselves so that nothing changes. Get the middle class fighting each other while the top of the pyramid keeps sucking it all up. And we just say thank you to them. Hey, Marty, welcome. Thank you for the heart, me, Marty. Oh, nice. Hope you have a great day, man. You seem like a nice guy. Thank you, Theona Sharkman. How is it going, man? Got a lot of snow and ice here. How about you? We had some ice here in Texas, but it's mostly melted. Tomorrow, it's not going to be freezing anymore in Texas. We'll be back to above freezing temperatures in Texas. So that's good. We survived. It wasn't too bad. They had us all scared, clearing out the grocery stores. People were scared. People were all scared. We were buying up all the meat, all the toilet paper. Clearing out the grocery stores. They had us so scared that we're going to lose power, water, electricity. Stores were getting cleared out. Obama gave healthcare all the power. Now he's giving it. No, Obama didn't give healthcare all the power. He made it so that we had to buy insurance. So yeah, he made it so that we had to buy insurance. He did give insurance companies power, and insurance companies suck. But it sucks. Most developed countries have free healthcare. What Obama did was say, you're going to pay for more. You're going to give more money to insurance companies. Because I know when Obamacare came in, my rates went up. I had to give more money to insurance companies when Obama did his thing. We should have, as a U.S., we're spending more on healthcare than any other country, and our healthcare sucks. We get very bad outcomes. We have a lower life expectancy, higher death rates for infants, mortality. Our healthcare system, we do not have good outcomes, even though we spend more than anyone else. Everyone in our system, insurance companies, prescription companies, everyone is trying to make a buck off of us. Everyone's trying to make money off of us. If they stop, oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for the confetti, Jay. Everyone's trying to make money off of us. Healthcare should not be a profit industry. Right now, when you're the most vulnerable, when you're scared for your life, the vultures come in and say, how can I take money from you? When you get a bad diagnosis, that's when the vultures come in. How can we suck the money off of you when you're vulnerable, when you're in need? We're going to make your doctor's visits more expensive so we can take profit. We're going to make your prescriptions more expensive. We got to have profit. We're going to make your hospital stay more. We're going to take profit. Everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie. Healthcare should not be for profit. They're treating it like it's a freaking, they're trying to make money off of your sickness. It should not be for profit. Most countries understand this. They have free healthcare. You pay some of your taxes and you're guaranteed healthcare. That's it. No one's trying to make money off of you. Not so in the US. You get sick. How can we make money off of your sickness, off of your drugs, off of your surgeries, off of your hospital stays? How can we get rich off of you when you're sick? That sucks. That system sucks, and it's wrong, and it's broken, and it's sinful. We should have, and in the U.S., we're so gaslit, we're so brainwashed in the U.S., especially like us. I grew up in evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal churches where I was told, free markets are God's way. Socialism is the devil's way. It was this kind of mentality. But so whenever we talk about free healthcare, the church people are like, "Ooh, that's socialism. It's evil. It's robbery. You're taking money from hardworking people, and you're going to give it to the poor who didn't earn it. You're going to give them health care. They didn't work for that money. How can you tax people who worked hard with their hands, and you're going to take care of people who need it? Maybe they didn't work for it." But the brainwashing happens because they're taking your taxes anyways. And you're supposed to be okay with that money being used to throw bombs on countries, to fund wars, to throw weapons, to destabilize nations, to overthrow governments. You're supposed to be okay with using your money to destroy life. But as soon as they want to use the money to help sick people, sick Americans, sick veterans, you're like, oh, that's evil, that's scary. Because the corporations are okay with destabilizing nations because they get the oil, they get the gold, they get the lithium. That's fine. They'll destabilize, they'll bomb people as long as there's resources for the corporations. But if they have to take care of the sick, that's less profit for them. So they're going to lie to you. They're going to say, using your taxes to care for the sick Americans, that's robbery. Using the same money to destabilize nations, that's okay. But which one is more Christian? Taking care of the sick or bombing countries? But which one makes more money for corporations? Taking care of the sick or bombing countries? So we've been like gaslit and brainwashed. So it's like, what, you know, when people stand before Christ, he says, what did you do with the sick? What did you do with the homeless? What did you do with the naked? What did you do with the prisoners, the people in detention camps? Because that was me. You didn't take care of the sick. You didn't take care of the homeless. You didn't visit people in detention camps. Then you didn't take care of me. Depart from me into outer darkness. And they're like, what do you mean? We didn't see you. He's like, that was me that was sick, that you denied health care for. That was me that was homeless, that you cut welfare for. That was me that was taken away and locked up in detention camps. And you didn't care. You didn't take care of me. I don't know you. Get out of here. For other people, like you did take care of the sick, the homeless, the hungry, the naked, those that locked up in detention camps. You did visit them. You did take care of them. That was me. Then enter my place of rest in paradise. You know, come join me. This is stuff. These are Christian things. But this idea, like, oh, healthcare for people, that's socialism. That's scary. That's evil. But bombing countries is fine. That's Christian. Like, what the hell are we listening to? We've been brainwashed by corporations who say, we've been brainwashed by corporations who want to make a system that liberates them to be as powerful as they want to be. They can take all the resources and they can keep us divided and fighting up here. So we don't ever figure it out. Thank you so much, Marty, for the finger hearts. Thank you. Hi, I'm Muckman. Hey, Muckman, how are you? This is pretty cool. Thank you. It was Panther who gave me the idea that I should go live on YouTube and live on TikTok at the same time. Pretty fancy schmancy. But yeah, guys, so my name's Enrique. I go by Kike. I was born in LA, grew up in Texas. I love to dance. You know, as part of the rave culture in the 90s, club culture. I love dance music. I love dancing. I have an arts degree. I do have a Bachelor of Science. I'm a nurse, registered nurse. I work with hospice care, take care of the dying. It broke my heart, whatever happened to the IC nurse, because I know IC nurses work so freaking hard. They're freaking brilliant and smart. And they sacrifice so much of their life to take care of us, of our country, of our people. They deal with so much. Nurses deal with so much stress to take care of, to keep people alive in a system that tries to take as much profit out of them. That's trying to suck as much profit out of patients, of nurses, of a hospital. Everyone's trying to profit off of us. But it broke my heart. But welcome. I was raised evangelical, Pentecostal, Protestant. I was working on a Master of Divinity in the Assemblies of God. I started looking at the early church history, the early church writings. I got interested in the ancient churches. Even though I had been raised very, very anti-Catholic, I did become Catholic because I was looking at the history of Christianity, the Christians that existed before the Bible was put together, how the early Christians practiced their faith before there was even a Bible put together. And so I became Catholic. Is there corruption in the Catholic Church? Just like any institution, of course there is. Do people do things wrong? Yes, of course. Just like any other institution, yes. But I do believe there's some really excellent teaching behind it. And in today's time, I want to emphasize Catholic social doctrine, which says governments and corporations should exist for human dignity, regardless of religion, race, sex, gender, sexuality. We are made in the image of God, and governments and corporations should exist to take care of human dignity, and the right to life should be protected. And the right to life includes water, food, shelter, healthcare, education, opportunity. These are just basics. Now, if you want to live fancy schmancy and get a bunch of extravagant things, okay, that can be extra. But the right to be alive, to have water, food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, education, these should be like, this is just basics. You should have those. The extras, okay, that can be something we can discuss. You can pay extras for those. But human dignity should come first, beginning with the most vulnerable, beginning with the poor, beginning with the people that have the less access to society, the people that have been left out of the conversation, the people that have traditionally been left out of healthcare, education, the people whose human dignity is the most at risk. They should come first. Human dignity. So corporations and governments exist to protect and to enforce human dignity for all, beginning with the most vulnerable. And then from there, we can advance as a society. Currently, we live in a system that says corporations should be unregulated and should be allowed to become as powerful as they want, and all of humans exist to serve the corporations. And if you get sick, that's tough. That's on you. If you go homeless, tough. That's on you. They treat you like you're just a number, and they exploit you for as much profit as possible. That is not Catholic social teaching. When corporations are exploiting workers, not giving them enough pay or health care, they can't send their kids to college, they can't retire, they can't pay off their mortgage, because these corporations are making billions and creating trillionaires, but they're not going to pay their employees. That is not right. That is wrong. That's sinful. Corporations should make sure that people have enough to raise their kids, to retire, to get some rest, take a vacation, to visit the doctor and not go bankrupt. That is basic human dignity. Corporations should give people that. If they don't, that is corruption. Governments should also enforce human dignity. They don't exist to serve themselves. They don't exist to step on people and make people scared of them. They exist to protect human dignity. Both corporations and governments should be protecting and serving human dignity, beginning with the most vulnerable. And then all that profit pours back in, and we elevate ourselves as a society where we all advance together. All that profit doesn't just rise to the top to serve a few people at the top so they can go to outer space and they can buy all these mansions. That money was made from the people and should serve to bring human dignity to society. The people who help to make that money, corporations and governments, should protect human dignity. It's wrong for people to be breaking their backs, serving corporations, and they can't go to the doctor. They can't retire. They go homeless if they get sick or they have an injury. That is evil. That's wrong. Corporations and governments should be serving human dignity. And so, yeah, I dance. I get silly because that's the way I process trauma, depression, anxiety. And that's the way I take off my mask of trying to fit in, of trying to, fit into corporate culture, trying to, I got to be professional. I got to be the person everyone wants me to be. And I feel fake. When I dance, I just dance from my heart. I feel like I take off the mask. That's important to me. I'm a freaking human being. I want to know that I'm human, and I want to know that you're human, that you're not a fake person. I don't want to see your freaking mask. I don't want to see your fake pretenses. I want to know who you really are. I want to see a freaking human. I don't want to see a freaking shell. And too many of these corporations are just like these freaking shells, no humans in there. They treat you like you're not human. When you call people on the phone, you're like, you're not talking to a human. It's all about profit and money. Anyways. Thank you for joining. This is pretty cool. I like having this double screen. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Panther, for that effect. Thank you so much, Benny, for following me. I appreciate that so much. I'm doing YouTube, and look at that. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got a follow on TikTok over there. If you want to follow me on YouTube, I appreciate that too. So make sure you follow. You look like the Nirvana bass player, says Arthur. I don't know I don't know who that looks like. I don't know who that is. Of course, I know Kurt Cobain, Seattle and all that, but I don't know who the bass player for Nirvana. I guess I can look it up here on my laptop. What do y'all think? Do I look like the bass player from Nirvana? Now, the idea of Nirvana comes from Buddhism, right? Leaving the cycles of reincarnation to enter this blissful place of Nirvana, where in Hinduism, what do they call it? Brahma? There's Nirvana, and the where you enter back into the whole. you leave the cycle of reincarnation, you enter back into the whole. In Buddhism, it's nirvana. In Hinduism, I think it's Brahma. Could be wrong. I need to look that up again. I should know better. I got to catch up on my world religions. But let me see. Bass player of Nirvana. And I'm scared to talk about these things, guys. I know I'm Mexican American. My whole life, I felt like you better stay quiet. You better keep your head down because you're not white. You're Mexican. You speak Spanish. And if you misbehave, we might get rid of you. We might come after you. So you better be quiet and behave because you're not white. So you better keep your voice down. That's what I grew up feeling. Did anyone ever tell me that explicitly? I don't know. But that's the message I got. It was like, you're Mexican, you're not white. Keep your head down, be quiet, behave, or else you might draw too much attention to yourself. So let's see, the bass player of Nirvana, Chris Novoselic. I don't know. I don't look like him. I don't think I look like him. Let me see. Nirvana bass. Maybe when he was younger. Okay, when he was younger, I could see that maybe. Now that he's older, let me find some younger pictures of him. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. When he was young, okay. Interesting. I can kind of see that. Let me see. I can't find a close-up of him, though. Young. Oh, here he is. Check him out. Oh, interesting. I see that. Yeah, he has the sad eyes, too. And by the way, these kind of sad eyes, I believe they come from my ancestor, who was that slave, the runaway slave. He also has those sad eyes. He was a black man, a slave. He ran away, fought in the Civil War, was a cowboy in Texas, went to Mexico. When I look at pictures of him, he also has these kind of like eyes that kind of look sad. The bass player of Nirvana has those sad eyes too. So I can see that. Interesting. I never heard that before. Thank you, Arthur. Appreciate that. That's pretty cool. When I was a high school teacher, I had a student who people said we looked so much alike. I never saw it, but one day I was looking in the mirror, like brushing my teeth, and all of a sudden I saw my student's face. Like, oh crap. Okay, I see it now. Your fan club completed the first stage of the club quest. Club Cheers has been unlocked for all fans to send and celebrate. Ooh, we get Club Cheers. I don't know what that means, but hey, and also on TikTok, we have Bubble Time. If anyone wants to hit that Bubble Time, I will do Bubble Time. And TikTok can see Bubble Time, and YouTube can see Bubble Time too. But I don't know how you can give gifts on TikTok, on YouTube Live. I don't think we have gifts. So find another way to support me, please. I don't know how you sing. I don't know, whatever. But Bubble Time is cool. You want to see Bubble Time. I'm charging my phone. I got my tablet here. I like this. I like TikTok and YouTube together. It's pretty cool. TikTok shop, we do have lasers and fog machines. If you're going to do lasers, make sure you get a fog machine to throw some smoke so you can see the lasers. Here, I'm going to show you all what the fog machine does, okay? Because the lasers, you can't really see them that well until you put out the fog. So watch this. And I do this for dancing. I'll show you a little dance. So YouTube, this is Rosary and Rhythm. Over here on TikTok, you're Enrique on the floor. I do have Rosary and Rhythm on here too. But I'm going to dance. So watch the fog and then I'll do a little dance. All right, I'm going to throw out the fog here. You're going to see it here. See the fog down there? The fog is about to rise. That's probably enough fog. All right, there's the fog. And yes, I haven't showered today, y'all. I'm still in my pajamas. It's freaking cold outside. And I've been playing with TikTok and I've been playing with social media, making content. So yeah, I haven't showered today. I'm gross. Sorry about that. But y'all check out the fog, okay? Now, what makes it really cool is when I turn down the lights. That's when the lasers really take effect. If you like the lasers, they're in the TikTok shop. The fog's in the TikTok shop. Check it out. Let's turn on the lights here. First, I'm going to turn off my fog lights. Yeah, I'm about to demonstrate the lasers. Bring out the laser. What happened to my sounds? Oh, here we go. Close that. Put on some sounds. Turn up the sounds. All right, so here goes. Turning down the lights. Check it out. That's when the lasers really take a cool effect. Oops, watch that. Watch out. Can I zoom out on YouTube? No, can't zoom out anymore. So this is my silhouette, right? Silhouette. It's more like a silhouetted background. I hope the frame rate's fast enough on YouTube to catch my dancing. I dance pretty fast. So I gotta check on the frame rate for YouTube. I don't know what the frame rate is. Let me turn up the music a little on the volume here so I can feel the vibes better. That's the silhouette look. Of course, I can throw the ring light on there. Let's just see my face more. All right, after that. So what do you think? Do you prefer the silhouette look, or do you prefer like a little bit of light where you can see my face? Not that anyone wants to see my face. Why do I feel so freaking close up now over here? What happened to my YouTube? I feel very close up to the camera all of a sudden. Hold on, can I shrink it down a little bit? Oh yes, there we go. I can zoom in. There is a zooming in effect on YouTube after all. You can zoom in, or okay, there we go. All right, much better, much better. Okay. Are you in underwater aquarium, says somebody on YouTube. Do I look like I'm in an underwater aquarium? I think I am. I like that. I think I am in an underwater aquarium, says Arthur. You look like the Nirvana bass player. Oh, I already read that comment, but yeah. Someone said, hey, Pure Honey, hello. Welcome, thanks for the likes. Thank you for the taps. The taps help to get the video viewed. On YouTube, I don't know how you get this to be viewed by people. Is there a way you tap the screen or something? I wish the comments didn't disappear on YouTube. They keep disappearing. I can tap the screen again. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. What are our community guidelines? I don't know. Top fans today. Oh, thank you so much, Theon. How do you say that? Theon Lee Sharkman. Theon Lee Sharkman. Thank you so much. You're number 1 on the list. JBub88, number 2 on the list. Thank you so much. Arthur Aham, number 3. Thank you so much. Then we have USA 4547. Oh, I think I know what that means. That's like President Trump, right? 4547. Ooh, very patriotic there. Very. Louis Russell, Santiago Gomez, welcome. Dance Girl. Oh, we got a dancer in here. Dance Girl, welcome. I love dancers. Angel and Merkman, thank you so much over there on YouTube, y'all. Thank you so much for being my fans over there. Over here in TikTok land, who do we got in TikTok land? We got Marty Black. Thank you so much. Pure Honey, Hayat, and Michael Stone. Thank you so much here. We do have a few little live goals. If y'all want to check out the live goals, y'all don't have to, but let me see what they are. I think we only have this little, I don't want to pin it. Never mind. Over here, the little hat, right there, he's a little airman, but he's kind of expensive. So he costs like, I don't know, whatever. You don't have to. The roses and the little hearts are fine. That's good too. I appreciate all the gifts you can send. Even if you can't gift, I thank you for watching. I'm just a goofball. I'm a goofball who cares about the future. I'm a goofball who wants justice. I'm a goofball who thinks that we can imagine better for the future. I don't think that corporations exploiting humanity for the most profit is the best way to run the world. I feel like we're living in Star Wars, we're the Galactic Empire. We're living in Last Airbender, where the Fire Nation is exploiting people. The freaking Jedi have to be called out to bring balance to the Force. The freaking Avatar has to come out to bring balance to the Fire Nation. They're like exploiting. They're kind of like this. They try to enforce their Fire Nation culture on everyone. The Empire is here with Senator Palpatine, and the Sith are trying to bring in balance. And freaking, we could have a world that's much more like Star Trek, where the nations collaborate, where we bring the best minds forward, we collaborate, not a world based on exploitation of how much profit we can make for the corporations, but where we think, does this economy, does this government, does this company serve human dignity? And does it help to take care of us? Does it help to promote human dignity? And can we start taking care of the least, the most vulnerable? I would say probably start with the people who don't have access to water. Take care of the people who don't have access to food or clothing, who are, maybe they're struggling with so much disease. Take care of them first. And then we start freaking like, can we work together as a human race and see that we are a humanity on one spaceship? We're not a bunch of divided people. We are the human people on one spaceship hurtling through space. We call it Spaceship Earth. That was a term come up with Buckminster Fuller, that we're pretty much all stuck on a spaceship. We can't get off the spaceship. We're all stuck on one spaceship. Are we doing things right so that we can live in harmony and thrive on this spaceship that we're stuck on? And we're freaking taking care of this spaceship because we don't have another one. It's the spaceship called Earth. Are we taking care of it? Are we taking care of each other? Or are we here playing war games, exploiting each other, trying to make this thing called money, this imaginary stuff called money, playing this King of the Mountain game where we're stepping on people so that we can be king of the mountain, hurting people? Why are we playing this dumb game, this Monopoly game, where we could be like using our healers, our creatives, our dreamers to invent new possibilities, to explore the potential of religion, of science, of exploring the universe, the galaxies, instead of sitting around playing these war games, fighting each other, exploiting each other. Oh, those people over there are the bad guys, our enemies. We have to live here and hunker down and get weapons to destroy them. And then everyone's fighting and we're just like, what are we doing while the rich just take all the money, Because when there's a war, the people who make the guns, the tanks, the bombs, they get rich. That's what they always do. They sell weapons to this side and this side. So the more people, we're over here shooting each other and they're getting rich because they're making all the weapons. It's good for industry. It's good. War makes a lot of money. They're treating us like we're pawns in a chess game, keep them fighting, keep them making money for us. And we don't have to live in this pyramid system of extraction where they're taking all the money at the top. Like, especially now with tools like AI, ChatGPT, we have so much freaking knowledge at our fingertips. Why are we playing these war games? We could have this beautiful world, but the people in power don't want to give up their power. They want to keep hoarding. Will Pope Leo bring clarity back? Says Taylor Marshall. Yeah. Anyways, if you're I encourage people out there. I don't know if you ever heard of something called Catholic social teaching. Don't think of it as Catholic, like, oh, it has to do with Mary, it has to do with the Pope, it's just basically like the Catholic Church has been thinking about Christianity, about the gospel, about Jesus, and saying, can we create a world that is based on love, that is based on human dignity? And so it's pretty much the Catholic Church's view of trying to imagine a world based on human dignity where we can advance as people, whether Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, Wiccan, whatever, Asian, African. Can we build a world based on human dignity where we all advance together? And part of that human dignity is you respect the freedom of religion. Nobody is forced of what they have to believe about God, the universe, spirituality. That is part of being a human, and part of having dignity is that you get the freedom to choose for yourself. If somebody takes that freedom from you, that destroys your human dignity. And so even though it's Catholic social doctrine, it's not necessarily, it's about the church, it's about Christianity, it's about Jesus. No, it is based on the fact that we believe that all people are made in the image of God, in the sense like everyone deserves human dignity, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexuality. Everyone deserves human dignity. That's a starting point. and that the poor are especially vulnerable and should come first. That includes like the economically poor, the marginalized by economics, sex, gender, sexuality, um, being children, being women, being elderly, being sick, being disabled. They should come first. That nobody should get left behind in the human race. We have so much freaking money at the top. There's we have Nobody should be homeless. Nobody should be struggling to see a doctor. Nobody should be struggling to get an education. There is enough. There is enough on this planet for everyone to have water, to have food, to have shelter. There's enough. We live on a rock that grows food automatically out of the ground. Like, we live on a rock that freaking grows food for free. That water falls out of the sky. Like, we live on a rock that generates food and water for free. And certain people are. That's the story of Tiny Tim. A Scrooge, McDuck. I don't know. We got the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol. We got the regular Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens. But it's a story of Ebenezer Scrooge, right? And Ebenezer Scrooge has all the money, and he sees his employee cold. He hears that his employee has a son who's sick, who needs surgery, but he's like, I'm the rich person. I don't need to give money to Bob Cratchit so he can stay warm and service and buy food for his family. I don't need to. I don't need to provide money so that Tiny Tim can get a surgery and survive. I don't need to. It's my money. And yet there's a moment when he encounters the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, where he's like shaken to the core, where he realizes, like, I'm a miserable person. And if I don't change my ways, people are going to hate me. Like, when I die, people are going to celebrate my death. Like, Ebenezer Scrooge realizes that, like, I'm going to be damned. And a lot of these people might not believe in hell anyways, but regardless, they're going to die alone. Nobody likes them. Nobody's going to celebrate them. They just took all the resources from everyone else that made other people suffer. And their name's going to be a curse. They realize they have a second chance. They have a time where they can give back. If I just change my ways, there's still time. I can make sure my employees have enough to provide food for their family, enough to provide warmth for their family, enough to have their child have a surgery to survive. I can do that as an employer, as a rich person, as a billionaire, as a trillionaire. I can make sure Bob Cratchit has enough, food and electricity and warmth and shelter for their family, and they can have a turkey, have a goose for Thanksgiving dinner, for Christmas. And he has a change of heart. And I feel like that story is made for the billionaires, for the freaking trillionaires, the people at the top of the pyramid. We watch that story and we think it's cute. Oh, look at Tiny Tim. Oh, look at Ebenezer Scrooge has a change of heart. That story is not written for us. It's written for Elon Musk, for Jeff Bezos, for Donald Trump, for the people at the top of the pyramid. That story is written for them as a warning. Like, look, you are keeping all the money to yourself, and people are homeless and hungry and they can't get their health care. And it's a warning to them, like, something bad's going to happen to you if you don't change your ways. And you have an opportunity to change. You still have time to repent and change and to share, so that people aren't homeless and hungry and cold and without health care, and that you don't die alone as a curse on the earth. Like, it's a story written for the top of the pyramid, for the 1%, for the billionaires and trillionaires. And we like the story. It's a nice story for Christmas. We watch it. It's like, oh, Jim Carrey's Ebenezer Scrooge. It's cute. But realize, like, that's a story. That's a warning for the top of the pyramid. That's a story for the billionaires and trillionaires, for Jeff Bezos, for Elon Musk, for all the people up there at the top, for Bill Gates. Like, it's a warning to them. So check it out. Next time you watch A Christmas Carol, think about how that applies to the people at the top who are hoarding everything. All right, y'all. Let's see what I got here. We're going to put on some music here. That's something I got to learn, is if I plug in my headphones, people on TikTok can hear the music, but people on YouTube will not be able to. So when I do both at the same time, I got to figure out a way through the speakers that works fine. But once I do the wired system, I don't know. I got to find a way to splice, so I can splice into both tablet and phone, so I can both hear the microphone. So if I talk through here, only TikTok will hear it, not you guys. So I'm gonna need some kind of way, some way to split the wire. I wonder where I can find that. Split the wire to both tablets, to the phone and tablet. That'd be cool. I gotta figure that out. Hey, Certified Marine, how are you? What's going on over here on YouTube? Any comments coming through? Live chat. No new comments over here. Well, it looks like I've been going live for about an hour, so I should probably take a break. I finished an hour on YouTube. I think I went liver on TikTok, longer on probably like an hour and 10 minutes on TikTok, maybe longer than that. I still can't tap the heart me. It's terrible. Hopefully they fix it soon. TikTok is still very glitchy. That's why I'm playing with YouTube. That's why I'm playing with Epic Studios and Upscroll and Instagram, whatever. I need to play with other systems because TikTok's been a little wonky. It's a great place to meet people with similar interests, but I don't know. It doesn't pay very much at all, and but it is a great way to meet people with similar interests. It is. I like the algorithm for meeting people, but right now it's not doing very hot. So TikTok is not doing very well. But I'm gonna go now. Okay, y'all take care. Thank you for chiming in. Let me do a little dance for y'all. In fact, all right, this is music that is not copyrighted, so I think it's okay to play on. I think it's okay to do on YouTube. It's not copyrighted. YouTube. I found some music that's not copyrighted. All right, so we want a better future for humanity here. I'm trying to get the angle right on YouTube here. Hold on. I'm trying to work on this angle here. Things I love about dancing is like we can talk about these really heavy topics like religion, economics, politics, but then something about the dancing just like greases it and makes it move and makes it joyful and fun, because it really, like religion, spirituality, economics, government, it should really be about humanity, and it should be fun, and it should bring life and joy. We don't want economies that bring death and just this heaviness and depression. We want economies and governments that bring life, humanity, healing. That's what economies, that's what governments, that's what healthcare, that's what education should bring, is humanity back. And so I love, like, when we talk about these heavy topics and it's like, let's dance, because it's like, it seasons it and reminds us, like, whatever we do should be based on human dignity. It should encourage people. It should bring life. It shouldn't bring like, oh, we're all getting all so heavy and depressed and anxious and It should bring life. It's too dark. Let me light up my screen over here. It's a little bit dark on YouTube, on TikTok. So I can lighten it up a little bit. So I can lighten up the screen here. Lighten it up a little bit. There we go. I can see it better now. Much better. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. I'll probably be on later, but been on quite a bit. I've enjoyed today. I love it. It's cold outside. A great day to be in my pajamas, just talking to y'all, philosophizing about life, the future, religion, AI, music, dance. It's been a lot of fun. Until next time. I'm Enrique. You can call me Enrique or Kike. I love talking about AI, dance, religion, Catholicism, Christianity, the future of mankind, how we can envision a future. I'm looking for dancers, for dreamers, for inventors, people that are spiritual, who want to heal humanity, who think we can do better. Let's connect, let's talk, let's chat. I love hearing ideas and stories. And let's dream of a better future where we're not exploited. We're a better system not built on just treating humans like profit machines. We're more than just, we exist not just for corporations to make money off of us. Let's return us back to humanity. Let's return the humanity back to healthcare and education. We're not here just to serve governments and corporations. We're human beings. And let's build a future where corporations and governments serve human dignity, not exploit it. All right. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me. Keep dancing, keep having fun. See you next time. TikTok and YouTube. Y'all take care.